Always wanted to know how to sharpen your knives on sharpening stones? Let me tell you the basics and show you how easy it is. Sharpening stones come in many different shapes and sizes, but more importantly, also the material can be different. We classify them in two different categories, synthetic and natural sharpening stones. But it doesn't stop there. Synthetic sharpening stones can be divided into ceramic and diamond sharpening stones. Most ceramic sharpening stones are made from aluminum oxide, and diamond sharpening stones are made from synthetic diamonds. Natural sharpening stones use natural minerals to sharpen your knife. These can be garnets, novaculite, or any other mineral. What type of stone is best is up to your personal preference. In the end, they all sharpen your knife, but there are small differences. Whichever stone you choose, the sharpening technique is mostly the same. We start with a coarse low grit stone and work our way up to higher grit sizes. It's hard to completely ruin a knife on a sharpening stone, but if it's your first time sharpening, it's probably best to practice with an inexpensive knife that you don't care much about. So first, I need to pick the grit size I want to start on. If you have a really dull knife, sharpening it on a fine stone will take forever, since the stones don't take away enough material. It's better to start with a coarse stone. I personally like to start with a sharpening stone of around 200 or 400 grit, and if my knife is still sharp and just needs a little touch up, I start at 600 or 1000 grit. Today I'm using these Sharper Basic combination ceramic sharpening stones with grit sizes of 180, 600, 1000 and 3000, simply because these stones are great and popular sharpening stones that most of you will be learning to sharpen on too. These are water stones, so I need to put them in water for a minute or so. Now that the stones are ready, it's time to pick the right sharpening angle. In general, we advise that you sharpen your Japanese kitchen knives at an angle of around 15 degrees and your European kitchen knives at around 20 degrees. Pocket knives or fixed blade knives, you can sharpen around 20 to 25 degrees. Sharpening exactly at, for example, 18 degrees by hand is almost impossible. Even from factory, there are small differences in the sharpening angle of the blade, so don't worry too much. You will not feel the difference between 18 or 21 degrees when using the knife. Just keep it as steady as possible, at the right sharpening angle. And how do you find the right sharpening angle on a sharpening stone? Let me show you. I'll take a marker, and on both sides I mark the cutting edge of the blade. This is the part we're going to sharpen. I'm going to place the heel of the knife on the sharpening stone and then pick a sharpening angle where I feel it's going to sharpen the whole edge. I glide the knife over the sharpening stone 1 or 2 times. Now when I look at the edge, I can see where I did not sharpen the edge. If the marker is still visible at the lowest part of the cutting edge, I need to make my sharpening angle a bit higher. If the marker is still visible at the top part of the cutting edge, I need to lower my angle a bit. Keep adjusting, sharpening and checking until you remove all of the marker. Then you found the right sharpening angle. Now try and hold that sharpening angle while sharpening, and before you know it, you'll find it easy to sharpen at the right sharpening angle for your knife. Now for the technique. I start with the heel of the blade at the bottom of the stone and slide the knife over the stone until the tip of the knife reaches the end of the stone. I don't take the knife off the stone, but I slide the knife back towards me with the same motion. This helps me keep a steady sharpening angle, and it simply also gives me a faster result. The sharpening technique I just showed you is my technique. It's not the only technique, and some will make the argument their technique is better. That's fine. Try to find a technique that feels best for you. You can sharpen in straight motions, circular motions, with the edge away from you or towards you. As long as the sharpening angle is right and as steady as possible, you're fine. Keep sharpening until you can feel a little rolled edge on the opposite side of the blade. This is known as the burr. If you don't feel the burr, check your sharpening angle and keep sharpening until you do. Once you feel the burr, you can sharpen the other side of the blade. And once you felt the burr on both sides of the blade, you're ready to go to a finer sharpening stone and repeat the process. When are you done? For pocket knives, especially the ones you use a lot, sharpening above 1000 grit is not necessary. 1000 grit will keep the knife sharp enough for your daily tasks. We advise to sharpen a kitchen knife up to about 3000 grit. Since you mostly cut soft ingredients like meat or tomato, the edge has a lot less to endure and can be a bit sharper. You can sharpen a lot of different bladed tools, of course kitchen knives and most straight edge pocket knives, but also chisels and axes are easy to sharpen with a sharpening stone. You sharpen a chisel with an up and down motion, finding the angle is easy. Sharpen until you feel a burr on the other side, and after sharpening you can remove the burr by laying the other side of the chisel flat on the sharpening stone. In the case of axes, we'd advise a small sharpening stone like the scarp pocket stone. When the bladed tool is heavy, it's better to use the sharpening stone on the tool instead of the tool on the sharpening stone. Again, this is my personal technique. It's not the only technique out there. I like this technique because I can see right onto the edge to maintain a good sharpening angle. When you're done, let the stones dry at room temperature. Never dry them on a heater or in the sun, because then there's a possibility that they will crack. Wait until the stone is dry before you store it in a dark kitchen cabinet, otherwise the sharpening stone might grow mold. Now that you know the basics of sharpening on a sharpening stone, it's your turn. Keep trying and enjoy! Want to give your knife that finishing edge? Check out this video about stropping.